Hidden Object Guru here, joined by
The unabridged game.
for another terrible list that PC Gamer put out.
It,
Oof.
it, yeah, this one is impressive because, like, I actually understand. I really appreciate what he was going for, the
Yeah.
author, with this one because, like, it's a good thing to say. We need a fresh variety of genres. We need things to not just be the same cup of tea every time. But it's typically good when you do that to not literally offer what is being released sometimes every month.
All right. So the point of the list is 9 game genres that this critic or commentator would like to see more entries in. So let's start with number one: tower defense.
That obscure genre.
Yeah, you know how there's. Okay, wow. What I love is what was a charming RTS subgenre in the days of Defense Grid in retrospect now looks like a faded fad. Like, literally, 2 tower defense games come out a week.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and we're not talking like a game maker, really cheap ones. We're talking like nice, high quality
Decent
ones.
games. Like, decent games. There's like 50 to 100 new tower defense games every year. Now, in this guy's defense, he might not know that because he thinks that They Are Billions is a tower defense game. And I gotta say, if you think They Are Billions is tower defense, you're not clear on what the genre is. It is a Command and Conquer RTS. I mean, yes, you can build towers to defend yourself from zombies, but you could do that in Command and Conquer too. A tower defense game, and I can't believe I have to say this, is a game where enemies come either along a prescribed path, or you have to use walls to build a path for them to keep them from just swarming your enemy from one side of the map, or multiple sides, to get to a target, and you have to build static defenses to defeat them. Now, I understand that that's in many ways similar to a Command and Conquer, but a Command and Conquer game, you build a colony full of resources, blah, 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 and also you have to fight enemies. Now, the main difference that makes this guy think it's a tower defense in They Are Billions is that, like in a tower defense game, periodically a wave of enemy will come from one direction, and you have to be ready for that by building your defenses in a certain way. But that doesn't make it a tower defense game. That makes it an RTS that has learned some lessons from tower defense.
Yeah, it's a zombie survival RTS. That was pretty much, as I recall, the whole selling point was it's a player versus environment RTS instead of rush to Zerg, rush every other human player RTS.
Exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I just played They Are Billions. I liked it a lot, but it's not a tower defense game. The one thing I will say is that there's never been like a big mainstream tower defense game. I don't think that's ever happened. I think, as he said, Defense Grid is kind of almost a big deal, but it wasn't really a big deal.
Yeah, and not only also came close, but that one was kind of an inversion of tower defense.
Yeah. What was it? What was the game? Yeah. Oh, there's what's the one? Is that the one I'm thinking of where you play as the space alien who's like doing tower attack on enemy defenses?
Yes, Anomaly. You actually have
Yes,
like
thank you, Anomaly Earth. Yes, I just couldn't remember the title. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love that game. I'm looking for their new game. I'm looking forward to those guys' new game, Colonialism: The Game. It's going to be terrible, but I'm very excited. Uh, but yeah, there's plenty of tower defense all the time. Although, if this guy's main complaint had been there has never been a big budget AAA mainstream tower defense game, I'd say yes, you're right. There's never been one, but I would very much like it if there were. All right.
that, and I will just say as my last comment on this particular item is like I don't think fans of tower defense games are hugely bothered over whether or not they are like massively mainstream.
No.
Because like it's a genre that has a very happy community who
Oh yeah.
constantly have new games.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like there's a lot of really good tower defense games coming out all the time. I just, as a fan of the genre, would like to see a AAA budget going to one and just like have a massive production value tower defense game. I think that would be cool. But you're right that nobody's really demanding that other than us. All right, next up we have fighting games. um,
Now, this one I want to point out in particular because one of the things that he argues as for why fighting games are apparently dormant is that they're only getting character updates. Like, as if, adding a character to a fighting game is just copying and pasting some art
I know.
into a fighting game, and not like every fighting character that you add to a game is essentially a mini expansion pack onto themselves
It
that takes.
changes the game completely. Like, that's what new characters do. Oh my god, but more than that, SNK put out Samurai Showdown last year. They just re released a deluxe edition of King of Fighters 14. King of Fighters 15 comes out in a few months. And like you said, with the character expansions, Samurai Showdown, it came out last year, and it has been getting constant character updates since. Like, there are a decent amount of fighting games out there right now.
I also want to point out that one of the examples given for why the genre is apparently so-called slumping is because of Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat 11, which just had a full-on single-player expansion pack that was big enough to warrant an entire re-release,
Oh,
and
yeah.
managed to bring back just the best version of Shao Kahn.
I
Just
know.
I mean, I don't know how you look at that and go, yeah, this is clearly a genre that has just gone dormant.
And again, King of Fighters is amazing. You know the new King of Fighters 14, because it's the deluxe edition, has every character expansion, has like 60 characters in it.
I saw you showing that. I think you were showing that off on your
Yeah,
channel, right?
I
Just
was.
like,
It's
yeah, there
really
is a
good.
ridiculous amount of characters to choose from.
Yeah, really good amount of characters, really great gameplay. I don't get it all. Anyone who can look at the state of fighting games right now. First off, the things he's, name checking here kind of suggests he doesn't know SNK exists, which is weird because I think of them as at the top of the fighting game genre because we don't get a lot of Tekken games, because we don't get Capcom making a ton of games anymore. SNK is out there grinding away, both with their releases of their classic games and with making brand new fighting games. Like, they're the top of the genre, and he doesn't even mention them. It's like Dragon Ball Fighters and Mortal Kombat 11 is all we get references to in this. It's very strange to not be aware of the company putting out the most number, like the greatest number of fighting games. All right, next up we have Military Sim. Um, I think this guy is only aware of big budget releases, right?
Yeah, because like this is another genre where it's Milsim. For one thing, I'm just gonna call it out right now. It's niche, so
Yeah.
it's far more niche than a lot of the other genres. So there's not a ton of demand, but where there is a lot, and it's also worth mentioning that mods are typically the biggest focus for Milsim. Like, I have met people in person who are like, "Oh yeah, I've just taken this RTS game or this first-person shooter, and I've modded it to the point that it's damn near impossible to play, and I love it."
Yeah. People are like realistic bullet drop, realistic weapon handling, realistic weapon degradation. The game doesn't really function anymore, and that's what I want.
It's just like it seems, and he basically what he said is that he just wants Arma 4, which I
Yeah.
mean, fair, but like every Arma game takes multiple years because of the amount of research that Bohemia puts into it.
No, that's true. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, the Arma games are impressive. I liked what was the first one, Flashpoint, before they changed the name to Arma
Yeah,
because they
Operation
sold the Flashpoint
Flashpoint.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Flashpoint. I liked Flashpoint quite a bit, and I even got the expansion back in the day when it first came out. And I like Arma well enough, but it's like Arma is kind of enough for that genre. And as you say, mod people are making their own milsim all the time. And you go to Steam Early Access, there's plenty of milsim games for you to check out. So this is yes, there's not a ton of major publishers putting out milsim games, but they are out there. Next up, sports.
See, this is the one I will argue in only one respect,
Okay.
and that is we only seem to have really realistic sports for the most part. We have a few things like he cites Super Mega Baseball, but realistically, we've not had something like Lego Soccer or SSX really punch through steep aside for sports games. So like I can understand saying that we need more variety.
Well, and it's weird
But
that his main complaint here, right, is that sports games tend to only come out on consoles.
yeah,
And this is PC gamer, so I do understand that complaint. But what he's forgetting is that we're only a couple of months away from getting Skatebird, which is all of the sports game anyone is going to need for the rest of time. In case you're not familiar, Skatebird is a game about skateboarding birds. Birds who skateboard. That's it. That's the whole game.
that there's also another artistic, kind of like almost super hot looking skating game that's coming up.
Really?
Yeah, skateboard game. Yeah, it looks very good. I've actually seen skateboards sharing it on social media, pushing it out and being like, "Look at this! This is what
Yeah.
we're excited for." So it's like there is definitely potential for that, and I have seen a few games try to break through and offer sports like experiences that aren't super grounded in reality. And
Right.
I think at this point we've kind of tapped the fidelity and all of that for sports games. So we need more stuff like
Also,
that. So
this guy seems to get it in his head that the only sports are basketball, football, and and soccer and wrestling. But I'm like, I get sent, solicitations to review stuff all the time. I'm sure you do too. And
mhm.
do you know what? The PC is packed with sports games like competitive bicycling, handball, badminton, ping pong, water polo. Like there are simulators for every sport that is played in Europe. There's a simulator game coming out of Germany or Poland of that game.
Oh, I
Every single
remember
game.
the infamous one. They were doing like a really infamous cricket game that tried to came up out on Steam, and it just did so poorly that it literally got pulled from the storefront. I think it was one of the first games that ever got that happened to it.
Wow. Okay, I had not heard of that, but that's amazing. But yeah, like there are plenty of sports games on PC. Now there might be not the big genre Madden style games on PC, but it's like if you're looking for sports games on PC, there's plenty. And by the way, not to mention Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl's
Oh
available.
yeah, there is Blood Bowl.
I
Yeah,
know
and
it's
Blood
turn
Bowl is
based, but
still going strong.
yeah, Blood Bowl 3 is coming out this year, everybody. Check out Blood Bowl. All right, next up we have Colony Sims and Base Building.
Like literally,
You
just
already talked about They Are
less than a
Billions.
week ago, one of my coworkers just reviewed a flying city building game.
Yeah, like there are
Like
so
the
many of these available. There's ones where you build one in space. There's ones, as you say, where you build them flying. There's ones where you build cities on water. I was just playing End Zone, which is about a colony that just came out. Colony building in the post-apocalypse.
and,
Like, there's so many of these games.
and he doesn't seem to be aware of a ton of them because he mostly again highlights the most either the longest lasting or most visible stuff like Oxygen Not Included in Frostpunk.
Yeah,
And that's it. And even he himself claims that he's hesitant to call out the genre, but he thinks he hasn't that we haven't seen the ceiling yet. Okay, not saying the ceiling isn't the same thing as saying that we're not getting these though.
we're getting so many, but we just haven't got a glut of them. All right, next up, social deception. I'm not even getting into this. No, just no, 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 no.
Yeah, there, before Among Us even became a hit, there were several games like this.
If I go to Steam right now and type in either Mafia or Werewolf into the tags, I will be given 300 games about social deception. There are so many. It is ridiculous how many social deception games there are. Now, you can have board game themed, you can have ones with chat, ones with no chat, you can have ones in VR. There are so many social deception games other than
There was a
Among
werewolf
Us.
VR one that was even released, at least like a physical console disc release for PS4.
Oh, God, yeah. Like, there was a, as you said, this is so, like, you could go to GameStop and buy a boxed copy of a social deception game. Yes, there's plenty of them, especially on PC. All right, next up, okay, Blue Collar. Okay, this is insane.
Yeah, you
So
know what genre doesn't have, enough things? A genre where literally someone made a game called Rock Sim because we just have so many simulator games where you can try to pretend to be so many things from various jobs to people to
again,
animals.
well, I mean, okay, leave out the funny animal ones. This guy is saying doing blue collar jobs.
Yeah, I,
Just last year, I played games about repairing train stations, being a lumberjack, farming, fixing highways, being a general construction worker, driving a truck. Obviously, I played Hard Space Shipbreaker, which is amazing, right? Uh, I played this wonderful game. I'm trying to remember Satisfactory, which is about building a giant factory on an alien planet. Like, this is just me, and this is just a tiny, like, the games I personally sampled last year in the blue collar jobs genre is probably 15 different games. And I didn't scratch the surface of that genre. Do you know what I played? I played a simulator of being a rover mechanic on Mars. Okay? You can't tell me this is a genre that isn't glutted with entries.
okay, again, this appears to be like not actually qualified for what the article is supposed to be about. The final sentence is we're yet to see one of these semi experiences go all in on story, so there's plenty of creativity to tap. I thought the point of these games was that you didn't have to be restricted by a story and that you
No,
kind of
you're
just
just doing
develop
the
your
job.
own.
To be fair, I would be fine if one of them has like a really, really elaborate story mode. I think that would be a fun departure for the genre. But you can't say that there aren't just so many of these games out there.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we have seen examples of games like this, oddly enough, even older than most of the games mentioned that have tried to explore story. I believe it was Deep Ocean or Deep Blue Sea. I forget what the exact name was. It was a Wii game. It was all about being an oceanographer
Oh,
and
right,
exploration. And there
yes.
was this whole elaborate mystery about a hidden treasure and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
They even had like a tiny bit of combat where you stun a shark so it doesn't eat you.
I mean, I just
And
played
like,
Beyond Blue, I think it was called, and that's a
yeah,
game where you're just simulating being a diver looking in on some various populations of whales and whatnot. And it had a story mode, and there was a threat, but mostly it was just simulating, tagging and observing various marine life.
yeah, it's not that we haven't even done. We've actually done this before.
Yeah,
We've tried this way back when.
I know. And 4X, come on. Okay, I will say this. First off, we have a drug kingpin 4X. They've got this thing called Cartel Simulator, so that is a thing already. Cowboy 4X, I don't understand how that would really work, but maybe. Dinosaur 4X sounds kind of entertaining. But the point is, he's not right that historical is the only 4X. There's fantasy 4. I mean, in addition to historical 4X like Civilization, there are so many sci-fi ones, right? 4X is an incredibly popular genre in sci-fi, but also in fantasy.
Oh, Endless Legend is I'm not kidding here when I say I play Endless Legend to relax, not even
Yeah,
like to like compete or to try to conquer the world. Just like it is genuinely just that pleasant a game to play that you can just play it for a couple hours and it will relax you.
yeah. I mean,
It's
I find
amazing.
Civilization the same way. Yeah, like this can be a very chill genre. I enjoy it, but again, it's kind of weird to say there aren't enough of them out there. Although I do agree with him for the first time, right? That having one with a lot of dinosaurs could be a lot of fun. Although I didn't mention in Colony Sim, there was a theme park. There was a theme park Jurassic Park game, so that's borderline pretty close. Global crisis management. I gotta say, I don't think we do need more of these.
No, like literally, I think well, just
Yeah,
pandemic
yeah.
released, and
We
that
got
was about
Pandemic.
it. Like,
We got Plague Incorporated. Then that's good. Like this is one of those genres where it's like it's such a specific genre and it does such a specific thing that I would be very surprised to see what another developer could bring to it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
oh, yeah, yeah, it's so incredibly specific a scenario that
Yeah.
Honestly, I think if you try to do something else, it would just feel like you're bolting another genre or something like that on top of what already exists.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's not a
Yeah,
ton.
this is
Why would
less
you
of a
suggest that you're
genre than
adding?
it is a game. That it is like two games.
Why would you suggest that in the middle of circumstances right now? That's not. He claims that this is cathartic. No,
It
thinking
isn't.
about the current depressing state of the world is not cathartic.
No, especially since I've played Plague Incorporated and I lose a lot.
Yeah, it's
So, watching the planet get overtaken by a plague is not what I would consider therapy right now. Like, at all. Oh my god, yeah, what a ridiculous idea that is. All right, so let's move on. Oh wait, is that the last one?
that is the last one.
Sorry, Evan. This was not a good list. We understand what you were going for, but it really sounds like you need to explore Steam beyond like AAA games from big publishers because there is so much out there for you in all of these genres you mentioned. Also, again, if you want fighting games, there's a company called SNK doing amazing work.
Like
Check
literally, they
in
don't
on
seem
them.
to sleep at all.
Yeah. Like, check in on those guys. All right, so that'll be that. I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Unabridged, would you like to recommend people to places where people can check out your stuff?
You can find me every week on The Escapist writing Second Look, where I take a second look at all kinds of oddities and various strange games. As of this recording, my most recent one is on Dishonored 2 and why it's the perfect sequel. And you can also
Oh.
find me on YouTube at Unabridged Gamer, where a bunch of videos are currently being worked on so that my channel starts doing things again.
Well, that sounds like a blast and a half. I'm going to recommend people check that out, especially to hear your thoughts on Dishonored 2, which I believe was the last game you played before you stopped being able to back up in video games.
Yeah, my current gaming keyboard is kind of sort of broken, so it's going to be an interesting journey. I'm not going to be able to easily walk backwards in games, so
So wish me luck
stealthing is going
type
to
of
be
situation.
fun.
All right, for more of my stuff, obviously, buttons coming up, questions, suggestions, go in the comment section below the video. We'll see you back here for more of this, but until then, I'm going to say that's right. Au revoir.